That's very, very well put. It's a great summary of all the data. In other words, just to to even boil that down more,
right?
We have data points from Targums, from Qumran, from the historical situation where you have a early rabbinic sage, Akiba, in the early 2nd century, maybe in the 20s or early 30s, 130s, I mean, of the 2nd century, attributing that passage to Bar Kokhba, calling him the Messiah. Why? They were 70 years, they were coming up to 70 years since the destruction. So, just roughly speaking, the destruction is in 70. As they get close to the year 140, Rabbi Akiva is doing the math. And he's like, it's been 70 years, right? We're coming up. We are going to have victory, right? There was this idea of 70 years of punishment. We're going to have the victory. Oh, and we have a military mighty man who's going to lead us. And he used the word Mashiach to describe him. And, of course, this Numbers 24 passage. So he didn't invent that. That kind of association gets traction because it clicks with a widespread, right? It has currency in a larger circles of Jewish communities. And so all that boils down to say, it's not a stretch to say 100 years earlier. Well, we know that from Qumran. We have enough data outside the Gospels to show this was a connection that Jews had in mind. Now, one thing we don't have, to my knowledge, is that when he calls him a star coming out of Jacob, I don't know that there was a sign in the heavens that Akiba was associating.
Right.
But he certainly, I think this has been established, that the timeline of the 70 years, there is a counting of years going on. And the idea of freedom, right?
Sure.
They started minting coins for this new king. Even, yeah.
So some of the scholars are split on. Some scholars say that this all happened back in like 19 BCE. Now that's very rare, but
which sign?
The star.
They're saying the star. Okay, yeah.
So I've composed 5 astrological signs that happened around this time. I'm not saying that any one of these is the sign. I'm just looking at things that different scholars have proposed. Halley's Comet showed up in 12 BCE, but I think that was a little bit too early personally. But who knows? There was a triple conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in 7 BCE. That means that they came into conjunction 3 times, which was rare. It's a rare thing. In February 6 BC, the 3 planets Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars were separated by about 8 degrees. According to Chinese records, there was a comet in 5 BCE. And there's an article that I put in the show notes that I found to be fascinating. Whether or not we agree with him or not, that's completely besides the point. This scholar makes it's from a book, but somebody did us a favor and put it online, and he makes the argument that the comet that is recorded in 5 BCE was what the Magi saw, and then there was also a comet in April of 4 BCE, but if Herod died in March, this comet would be eliminated from possibility because it would be too late, right? If Herod dies in March, then you have a comet in April. That probably wouldn't work. So I think that one of the 3 things happening from 7 to 5 BCE is probably at the top of the list of possibilities of what the Magi saw. And why they would have chosen one over the other, well, that's all debatable. Don't miss any clips from Messiah Matters by clicking the subscribe button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and share it so other people can see it too.